Welcome to the Monadnock International Film Festival.
Thank you.
Into the group of things.
And coffee.
This is our second. Yeah, I have my coffee. All right. So we're here at the Monadnock International Film Festival, the second annual, and live from Keene at the Local Look Lounge. And we're speaking with filmmakers and celebrities all day, and we've got the festival going on for 3 days. So right now we're speaking with Anna Culp, who's the Vice President of Motion Pictures for Imagine Entertainment, which is Ron Howard and Brian Grazer's company. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And so are you enjoying the festival so far?
Absolutely, absolutely. Great film already, and have met amazing people. So it's a great little community, so it's been great.
Nice. And you're going to be speaking on a panel.
I am.
And this panel is about women in entertainment.
Yeah.
And so you're holding a very prestigious position with a really great company.
I've been very fortunate.
Tell me about how you worked your way into this position.
I actually, I was lucky enough to, again, so much of it has to do with networking. And I was working for a director right when I graduated college, and an intern at Imagine knew an intern at another company that I was friendly with, and someone said, Brian Grazer is looking for a second assistant. So I put in my resume and thought, no way, Brian and Ron, it was kind of a dream come true, and it was 16 years ago. So I started at the company right out of college, for Brian, working as his second assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for people that aren't familiar with Ron and Brian's movies, where there's been a ton of them, but Beautiful Mind, The Da Vinci Code,
8 Mile, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas.
The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, right? Yeah.
we run the gamut. I think we have all different, every different kind of movie you could imagine we've made.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
And Rush was a recent one that came out
Absolutely.
with about the racing circuit. And I've always thought about that whenever a Ron Howard movie comes out, is that it seems like he likes to just try something different every time.
He does.
Is that his nature?
Absolutely.
Him and Brian?
Absolutely. They both do. I think Ron likes to challenge himself in different ways. Each movie is its own thing, and they which is what's so great about working at the company. Brian also, they love new subcultures. So much comes out of just an interest and curiosity about the world. So we're very fortunate to be able to look for material and look for new movies that are very character driven, usually stories about humanity and a human deficiency. I think all of our movies have that in common at their center, and then put them in different worlds all the time.
So for the most part, it doesn't seem like you guys get into doing the sequels, but you did in Da Vinci Code.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. That one was a great experience when we partnered up with Sony and Dan Brown, and we are a part of all the Robert Langdon movies, actually. So not everything Dan writes, but any character with Robert Langdon in it. And we are developing the next one right now, actually. We're very excited about it. It's a great big story. The new book called Inferno that just came out, and they're at their heart, they all have kind of a controversial, really rich subject matter, and they're the kind of the ones that we love for our water cooler conversations, And the new one has a big idea at its center, so we're very excited about it.
And for you personally, you were on set for the Da Vinci Code, which is not a bad location.
No, it was a wonderful location, actually. I was we were in London, Paris, and Malta over the course of probably about 8 months. Wow. Which is, so fortunate. I think also, that was back in 2005. These days, it's harder to actually be on location, every location that's actually written. So I think everyone is, chasing tax credits and running around the States and Europe, and hopefully we'll be able to keep making them in their locations.
So I have to ask you that in a location question. So if you're filming the Da Vinci Code and you've got a Vatican scene, or like Angels and Demons, where there's a lot of Vatican scenes and stuff. Obviously, it's not the Vatican. No. Probably, I'm guessing.
Nope. We actually went on our location scout. There were 5 of us: Ron, myself, our writer, our line producer, and we actually kind of got this private tour. It was great. We were afraid that people would recognize Ron and think, oh, they wouldn't let us in at the Vatican. They were actually wonderful. The Vatican guards actually could have not loved him more. But we actually replicated the inside of the church. We built it in Los Angeles. at a place called Hollywood Park. We built an entire set. It was actually the largest set since Cleopatra. That had shot in LA. We turned it into, it was St. Peter's Square initially, and then we had a big turnover. It turned into the Piazza Navona.
So the Enclave and that was all filmed in Hollywood?
Not all of it. We did a lot of filming in. There were amazing locations in Rome, Castle St. Angelo, and all of the exterior. We did everything in Rome, and it was great. And then we brought the production back to Los Angeles.
What is your favorite project that you've worked on that you're most proud of?
I like to say I love all of them for different reasons. I have a very special place in my heart for Cinderella Man. It was the first movie I worked on as an executive, and it's a beautiful, triumphant story. And it was one of those opportunities to learn so much about a world I didn't know. And that is very much the philosophy of Imagine. We get to immerse ourselves in, the guys really pride themselves on the authenticity of the movies. And so everything from research during script development, I learned about the boxing world, I learned about the Depression in New York City specifically. And you have the opportunity to really work with writers and filmmakers to make it as authentic and real as possible. So it's a beautiful, triumphant movie, and I learned so much about something I didn't know anything about, and now I'm a boxing fan. So it's really fun, and I think almost all of our movies you get to do that.
Well, it's interesting because as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, because he was in that movie as well, and. A lot of times when I think of schizophrenia or something like that, I think of that movie as the first time I really learned a little bit about somebody dealing with something like that. So it's interesting. Sometimes the movies can actually be an education piece in somebody's life.
I hope so.
That you go back and think about. Yeah.
That's actually, Brian, that was a very special movie to Brian in particular. He had for years been looking for a movie to do about disability that was very specific to him. His son has a disability, and he was searching for the right way to tell that story. It wasn't about schizophrenia. It wasn't meant to be. That wasn't, why we sought out to do that movie. It just resonated so much for anyone with a disability. And I think that, again, another very common thread of Imagine movies is about learning something about people as a whole and how to make that universal, and people that don't have experience with a particular subject matter. That's a very important part of the movies we try to tell.
Do people come to you with projects like, for instance, The Grinch? Did Theodore Giesel's
wife Audrey.
Audrey Giesel, that's what I was trying to think. Did she come to you and say, I want you to make this movie, or did you approach her?
No, Ron and Brian actually flew down and met her and spent a lot of time with her to make her feel like she would be a part of it and that we would respect the estate. And they go both ways. Sometimes people do come to you, but there are people that have built something that they're very protective of. And I think it's very important to us as filmmakers that we respect the estate, the property, the project, and we want, most importantly, to have those people walk into the premiere with us side by side and feel proud of what has been made. And that's a very important part of, especially the real stories or properties. We had a true story that is an amazing story, but a very tragic story. And we were all the way up to pre-production, and one of the families who had lost a firefighter felt it was too soon. They got cold feet, and we actually ended up shutting down the production because it's very important to us that everyone feels like they can be a part of it and that we're doing right by them. And it was, very hard to do and a very beautiful story, but at the end of the day, we wanted to respect the family's wishes, and so we actually ended up closing down the production, which was, really, really hard. But at the end of the day, that's a very important part of what we want to do, and I think that's why Imagine movies, I think, resonate in that way, because we do have input from everyone, and I think having that and having the camaraderie and having it be important and a part of someone's life is a very big deal for us.
So, on that note, you've got a movie coming up on James Brown.
I do.
And that begs the question is how did you work out that relationship, because they had enough problems trying to figure out how to bury him.
They did.
And I can't imagine who's holding on to the rights of the movie.
Exactly.
And that kind of thing. But was it?
Well, as is the case with many projects, it was something that was developed at Imagine for over 15 years, actually. So when James was alive, he was very much a part of the process. Brian had approached James 15 years ago, maybe a little more now, and he was a part of it. And when he passed, there were definitely complications with the estate and who held the rights and all of that. There are some great people, very key people for the project. Erica Huggins at our company, myself, then a gentleman by the name of Peter Afterman who worked with the Brown estate, also works with the Rolling Stones. So he really knew all of the players, and actually, so we had the script. Mick and Peter actually worked on getting the rights all worked out and brought it back, and we partnered together to make it. So, you have to roll up your sleeves and figure out inventive ways to make these things happen. And that's also the thing about movies and features, which is very different from television, but we keep pushing. You just keep pushing that rock up the hill. Friday Night Lights took 12 years to get made. James Brown, they're labors of love, and so you better want to be in it and roll up your sleeves and go, this is something I'm passionate about, because they can take a long time. But at the end of the day, they're, again, things we can be really proud of. I actually just saw the first cut of James Brown and really excited. And Tate Taylor, who directed The Help, is on board, and it's just a very exciting time. It was a great first cut, and we're racing towards a finish line to release this summer.
Is there any movies you guys, because you've done a lot of great movies, every time I see the name, Ron Howard and Brian Grazer on it, I always think it's going to be a great movie. So I'm instantly there to watch it. Is there any movie, I can't even think of one, is why I guess I'm asking you, that didn't do that well at
we
the
bury them. No. Listen, I think that, case in point, Cinderella Man had a hard time being released. There's so many things that go into how to release these things, and Universal has been our partner for a long time, but we released that movie during the summer, and I think it's kind of a cold, wintry movie.
Depression era
and
type thing.
I think getting people, and in the middle of the blockbuster summer, June release didn't quite work. It doesn't mean that we're not really proud of them, but sometimes they just don't land. And people discover them later. Thank goodness there's so many different ways now. It used to be just DVD, but now it really is, these things have lives so far beyond, and it's a great, there's such an opportunity to experience and find and discover things later, which is, amazing. You of course want them all to do well at the box office, but there's ways to keep them alive. And Rush is a great example, actually. Formula One racing just isn't as big here in the States. So our domestic side, and we've actually done, pretty well, but domestically it didn't quite work. But again, when people see that movie, you kind of go, I didn't know that story, and there's a real, humanity at its center, and this great rivalry, and such a fun action movie in it. So, sometimes they don't do as well as we'd hope, but again, that's why you want to be able to be proud of the ones you work on.
Well, you're going to be on a panel that's talking about women in media. Is there any challenges that you came across being a woman in your position that in Hollywood that you would say has been a challenge, or has it been a pretty smooth ride?
It's very interesting, because I think that we talk a lot about women in the business, and I'm really fortunate enough to work at a very female-centric company. From this time I started, a woman named Karen Cahill ran the company for Brian and Ron. She started as an intern out of UCLA, and the guys have always really had a nice balance, if not leaned more towards having women at the company. So I was very fortunate in that way. And it is very empowering and a very, lucky situation. But I was thinking about it a lot, because I think when we talk about the place for women, it is a lot of times in production and on the filmmaking side itself, the number of writers, female directors, women in departments on set, that I think we need to help those really raise up. Because if you look around, there are 7 major studios. I think 4 of them have women running them. And I think that speaks volumes for there are actually women in positions of power. And I think we need to work harder to continue to have them be an integral part of the movie making process. So I have a feature that we're putting together right now, and we have financing and looking for a domestic distributor that is a female director, a woman, Jessie Nelson, who directed I Am Sam, and it's a Diane Keaton, Annette Bening. We have this amazing cast put together, and it's a great, fun, dysfunctional family Christmas movie. Who doesn't love them, right?
Perfect, yeah.
But so I think that's the key, is to keep employing women and trying to help them along, and you just have to pay attention to it. That's for me. I have a lot of great female role models that have helped me along the way, that have nurtured, and it's about being aware and finding those great talents. These festivals are great for that, actually, to find new women filmmakers that are out there doing it with their supporting their support system. And actually this year at Sundance, I met so many female directors. I've actually, following Sundance, I came back and you have these general meetings after you see movies you like, and I think 4 of the 5 movies I loved at Sundance were female directors, and that's exciting. I think it's an important part of what we do to try to support each other. So
great. Well, thank you for coming to the
Absolutely,
Monadnock
thank you.
International Film Festival, and enjoy the rest of your time
I
here.
absolutely will.
Looking forward to the panel.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Perfect.